Hey there, life learners. Thanks so much for tuning in. Do you want to get to the root of things? Do you want to be a quiet and competent force in the community? Do you want to make a difference in the way people perceive you and brands? Well, if there's a yes, a yes, a yes, or all three yeses, you are going to want to mark it on after this show. So good day to all of you YouTube viewers and our audio listeners. Thank you and welcome to episode 286 of the Business of Life Masterclass podcast. For listeners and viewers alike, we ask you to think about, when was that last time you felt as though you were seen for all you really are? Well, you know that Barb and I are all about getting ideas and people highlighted. So today's episode of the Business of Life Masterclass is on how to be thoughtful, creative, and engaged wonderfully well in life and in business. Sounds like a good match for all of us, right? So hello again, everyone. It's me, Debbie Lundberg, Performance and Mindset Coach with Presenting Powerfully.
Barb Zant here, media sales leader and founder of the lifestyle brand, The Stay at Work Mom. Debbie, who is our guest who can show us ways to get to our most marketable self?
Well, she was born and raised in Tampa, Florida, and even though she was recruited away twice, Barb, in her career, she has always returned home. After all, she says there's something to be said for not having to shovel sunshine. We might want to coin that phrase, that we don't shovel sunshine. Marketing has always been her passion and her puzzle. She just loves identifying what's broken, uncovering what's missing, and figuring out how to move that needle with clarity and efficiency. So for her, it's never really been about flashy trends. It's all about smart strategy and meaningful connection. That's what she calls relationship marketing. She calls it relationship marketing. That's the core of how she works. And that work has spanned just corporate, government, and nonprofit sectors. Really shapes how she thinks, giving her such a strategic lens and a really practical mindset, both of which she takes to work, and she does that today with independent medical practices. So please welcome Laura Woodard.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here, Debbie and Barb, and life learners, and I look forward to our chat.
Welcome, Laura. What is one thing that is not in your bio that Debbie just talked about that's interesting or cool? Just a tease for right now, and we will get more to the story on that later.
Okay, well, my tease is the complexity of flamenco dancing.
Ooh, flamingo dancing. That is very interesting. More to follow. So, Laura, you were invited on the Business of Life Masterclass podcast for your ability to hone in quickly and fix the problem immediately. That's the do part in our podcast, and I love it. Since you have listened to our podcast, please share in 50 words or less, just a short sentence, what specifically made you want to be on the Business of Life podcast, please.
So I have been listening to you all for a long time, and I love the fact that you follow a specific rhythm. And the different things that you talk about are always fun. I absolutely love whenever you follow along and try out the person's morning routine or something they've talked about. And I love the follow-up. So that to me is super fun.
Thank you, Laura. We love that part too. Thank you for being on the Business of Life Masterclass podcast. And before Debbie gets started on our podcast, what's one thing that you are super excited about right now in your life as we are airing? This is our special Valentine's edition. So,
okay, well, my special thing doesn't have anything to do with love, but I do love USF, University of South Florida, and I serve on the Women in Leadership and Philanthropy committee. I'm on two committees. But the one that I really enjoy serving on is we give grants to the professors to help them with their research, because as many people in our area know, we're a research-based university. And so we are in the next couple of weeks going to be reading through all of the proposals from those professors. And we have the hard thing to choose is there's only 6 that are given. So, but we usually have 35 or 40 that respond. But the research that's going on at USF is absolutely amazing. And I just hope that people that are in our community can learn about that research.
Okay, Laura, since you are excited about USF and WLP, Debbie and I are both members of that as well, and we are just as excited as you are. If you were to have one song as your life's walk-up music, what would that be?
Well, I heard this song many years ago when I was visiting one of my best friends in North Carolina, and it's "Can't Stop the Feeling" by Justin Timberlake. It's so happy and it makes you want to dance, dance, dance.
Yes, it does. I know that song. I like Justin Timberlake's vibe, and sometimes people say he's on the outs, but the reality is music is in if it makes you feel good. And so we will be listening to Can't Stop the Feeling. So that sounds great. I'm with you on that. So from being a life learner and life listener yourself, Laura, that we have our podcast for. These are those 4 questions we ask everyone. Are you ready to begin?
Oh, I think I am.
Okay. So these, but for our new listeners and as a reminder for everyone, number 1, what is the time you get up in the morning and what's that morning routine that you deem gets your day started right?
So I wake up at usually around 6 a.m., maybe a little bit before. And a year ago, we adopted a miniature poodle, and his name is Herbie Hodge. And so now I get up and I walk Herbie Hodge in the morning, and I break my walk into 3 different things. So the first third of it is me doing deep breathing. So I breathe in, I hold it, and then I breathe out. And so I do that for about a third of the walk. The second third of the walk, I think about everything that I'm grateful for, just the trees, my husband, just anything that I'm grateful for. And I just go through my list, all of my teammates that I work with. And then the last third of it is when I'm on my way home and I start getting into my my work mode. And so I think about each one of my clients and what can I do to build their marketing and the relationship.
Wow, sounds like a terrific way to get started. And Suzanne Diaz was on the show and she spoke about breathing. And then we've done sauna cold plunge and they talk a lot about breathing.
Yeah.
So this will flow right into it. So what a wonderful way to get started with Herbie Hodge and more. So, okay, so number 2, what is something other than that morning routine of breaking the walk into the 3 distinct focus areas, really? I mean, to get your day started right. What's something else that you believe if people were to do it would set them up for success as well?
I think another thing that would set you up for success is not to look at your phone first thing in the morning. And to piggyback on that, to look in people's eyes whenever you're speaking with them. I think our phones are taking over our lives. And if you start your morning without looking at the phone, and then when you're with people, you don't look at your phone and you look at them, I think that makes for success.
Yes, look them in the eyes. It's interesting. There's somebody who people say I look a lot alike, and she and I often joke about it. She has these beautiful green eyes, and I have brown eyes. And we were laughing just yesterday, the day before we're recording this, that we take it as a compliment, but we do laugh about the fact that that seems like a big difference. And yet sometimes a lot of people don't notice. So love the idea of look people in the eye. And if I could add, please look people in the eye at stores when you're checking out and not be on your phone because they're humans and that engagement is the human connection. So thank you for
Yes.
reminding us of that. All right, number 3. Now, this one, I'm sure you've given some thought to. Well, I know you have for all of them, but I'm really, really curious. I'm sure Barb is too, since we don't know you as well as some of our other guests, and we're excited to hear who or what has been the biggest influence in your life, your success, your continued effort to market and assist your clients and make your life all that it is as well. And importantly, Laura, what have you done with that influence?
So the most obvious thing is my mom. My mom was my best friend, and I miss her dearly. But the other people that were very influential in my life was her 2 best friends. And so I called both of them aunts. So my Aunt June Post, and she was from Brandon, and then my Aunt Beth Shields, who lived here in Tampa. And they were both so entrepreneurial. My Aunt June started a daycare and kindergarten, and I was fortunate to help her as she was actually building and opening it. I was just graduating from high school, and so I helped her with that, and she just always included me in things, and she was teaching along the way. And then my Aunt Beth Shields worked in the school district, and she was just such an inspiration. She was a mathematician, and she really leveraged that. And she also helped teach me how to be in business along the way. And so for me, what I carry forward is, how do I help teach people along the way? I've been fortunate to be a mentor with Take Stock in Children, and I'm also I help mentor in a lot of different organizations. And so to me, it's really teaching along the way.
Yeah, the triad of these three impressive and memorable women. What a great impression they've made on you and how you've carried it forward. Oh, it's I don't know. I find that's one of the most inspirational things is to hear what people have done with it, like you have, to carry it forward. And Barb and I have both been mentors in the Mentor Protege program at the Tampa Bay Chamber, and look forward to more of that based on your stories too. Okay, so number 4, you know our series and our master classes, and we've had a couple of those, and we will in the future as well. We focus on the positive, and we like that. The reality is, and you've alluded to it a little bit already in the show, not everything is serving us well. So, Laura, what is something that you believe if people would stop doing it, it would have a positive impact on them?
So I just go back to the same thing that I shared earlier. Stop looking at your phone, because like you said in my intro, I really believe in relationship marketing. And I've always called my marketing relationship marketing, because you're really making a connection. And if you're always looking down at your phone, you can't make that connection. And that is, with AI taking over, everyone's talking about AI. What's really going to make the difference for you is if you can make those relationships and connections.
So well said. And Chris Carlo was recently on the show, and he was talking about technology and AI. And as interesting as it is, and how he works on that and has expertise in it, and you have relationship marketing expertise, I believe the two of you are aligned in that. That's the don't lose sight of the people who you get to work with, who you get to serve, who you get to collaborate with. So I think the two of you would have a really fun conversation if you get an opportunity. So thank you so much for sharing the podcast 4. We see Barb smiling with her. Now, we haven't heard about your complexity of flamenco dancing, so I'm wondering if Barb's going to have us flamenco dancing. But for now, let's hear what she's captured for us.
Yes, that might be coming up shortly. Thank you, Laura. I feel inspired by your theme of threes. And so that 2 of the things I'm going to implement immediately. I loved how you broke up your walk in the morning in 3. I'll have to think about how I'm going to incorporate my dogs, because they are not great walkers. And but I love that. And getting back to the breathing, putting away the phone for sure. And I'll make sure my family members do that as well. And then always constantly making sure that I'm teaching along the way. So those are some of my ideas. Debbie, your list might look a little different. I do imagine that there's going to be some sort of flamingo dancing, but I'd love to hear more from Laura on that. Are you willing to incorporate some of these in the next week or so, based on the
Absolutely.
we just heard?
Absolutely. Now, the dancing, we'll see how flamenco dancing plays out with this, but that comes up in a minute. So yeah, I like that too, as far as it's really been interesting this calendar year. I've done the gratitude, writing that first before making the posts for my work, because some things changed. And you're right, Laura, that getting on the phone first thing, I was just sharing with a client that I said, please get out of bed and please go somewhere. And let's not have that, that the bed is for sleep in something else, but it's not looking at your phone. So it's funny you mentioned that I'd inserted that gratitude. And then I'm thinking about that with working out because I run with other people. So Barb, my thought is when I'm doing my weights, I usually am listening to a TED Talk. So I can think about the breathing, the breaking it down to the gratitude again, and then the forward effort toward work. So I'm committed to it. I'm curious about what else we're going to learn. So yes, I'm all in.
All right. So Laura, as we wrap up, we are excited to hear about this flamingo story. Flamingo dancing. Please share.
So I was born and raised here in Tampa, and two of my father's classmates did flamenco dancing, and I always wanted to do that. And so a few years ago, I signed up for a flamenco dancing class, and it was taught by the woman that was the lead dancer at the Columbia. And so I showed up already. I had my skirt, my shoes, and my castanets, and I showed up, and everybody in the class was 13. So I was head and shoulders above everybody else, and I was the only adult. But I took there for 3 years, and I absolutely loved it. It is the hardest dance that I've ever done because you're using your feet as a percussion instrument, and you have your castanets, and it is just amazing. I'm actually taking classes, private classes now. So it's just dance has been a big part of my life, and it's been fun to get back into it.
Well, that story is awesome. And I can't wait to see what we do with that, Debbie. Finally, what is a quick closing statement or even a single concept or mantra that our listeners didn't get to hear yet from you?
So I think a closing statement, follow your passion and what life is teaching you along the way. I started grassroots medical marketing. I launched it in July of last year. So we just turned one, but we haven't really been launched for quite a year yet. But the reason I started it was I was the caregiver for my mom and my aunt in the last phase of their life. And their doctors would tell me, you need to see a specialist. So I'd go online and, I'd try to find a specialist, and then I'd ask friends. And every time I went on, it seemed like the messages weren't clear. I couldn't really find a doctor. And I kept saying to myself, why can't I find a good doctor online? And to me now, the reason is pretty obvious. They are so concerned and dedicated to helping their patients heal that they don't really care about marketing. They think just word of mouth. But in today's climate, most doctors are being hired by hospitals, by venture capitalists, or insurance companies, and we're losing our private practices. And so I just decided I'm going to follow my passion. I kept saying, why can't I find a good doctor online? Well, hello. That's what I do for a living. So we are just making great progress with it. I'm super excited. And so I just would say, follow your passion.
It's a wonderful mantra. Follow your passion and see where it leads you, and lead where you see it is one of the things I like to say too. So thank you again, Laura. I mean, from flamenco dancing to the complexity to being in a group of 13-year-olds to reminding us that passion can really spark something. We have a wonderful, wonderful things to consider and to implement. So before we say goodbye, we know that Justin Timberlake has got your vibe for your walk-up music. What would be your walk-off music if you say we're leaving a stage or emceeing, or even if you're walking out of one of your consulting opportunities with a doctor?
So I would choose George Benson's Greatest Love of All. And the reason for that is, in Suncoast Sound, which was a local in Pinellas County, was the drum corps. And the last year he was in corps, their last song was The Greatest Love of All. And if you've ever been to a drum corps international performance, it's usually like 13 bands or drum corps. And so the very last part is they would face the back of the stage, and then they would turn around, and the passion and sheer force of more than 140 people playing bugles and drums, it just would blow you away. And I will never forget when we were in the stands and we were singing along with it and saying, "The greatest love of all is inside of me." And that force of the music, just, I will never forget that.
Thanks so much, Laura. I love your passion about that, and I can't wait to research that.
All right. Well, Laura, if you have a quick message at all, to leave us with, we know you are one of our life listeners and we appreciate it. So listeners, you can stay connected with Laura Woodard on all social media and at grassrootsmedicalmarketing.com. So a little history there. She had grassroots marketing, and then you heard that wonderful story about how she expanded it and is focused on medical. So grassrootsmedicalmarketing.com. You can also find out where everything stands with your social media. So Laura has this cool opportunity with a quick quiz. So she's got that at it's MEDMKTG quiz.scoreapp.com. So we'll have it in the show notes. But if you or somebody you know is in that situation where they'd like to know more about how they stand with their social media, you can get some insights right there. And you know what? She can share a 5-step formula for your practice growth, because that, as we know, is her passion. So similarly, you can follow Barb and me on Instagram and Facebook at the Business of Life Masterclass. Barb is the Stay at Work Mom, and I am Debbie Lundberg, most places, Debbie Lundberg Coach on TikTok. And so I put out those workday tips. If you want to get in on that, they're all out there.
If you like what you heard, please rate us 5 stars. We are committed to providing you with 5-star guests and inspiration, just like Laura. Please do provide us feedback, and we absolutely implement it. And stay tuned for our follow through next week, where you learn how Debbie and I did implementing Laura's ideas. So thank you for joining us for this episode of the Business of Life Masterclass, the podcast for successful people embracing every chance to accomplish and experience all you can in business and in life.
Listen, choose, do. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
If you have ever thought, gosh, I'd like a collaborator, I wonder what else I could do, it's likely that the answer is a coach. Hi, I'm Debbie Lundberg, Performance and Mindset Coach with Presenting Powerfully. And if you would like confidential coaching to drive you to the next idea, the next role, or even to figure out your own brand, please reach out to us at Presenting Powerfully, 813-494-4438. Thank you.